I have a confession to make. It's a big deal, isn't it? I got your attention. I mean, think about it. The priest is going to make his confession in front of a full house on Easter morning. You're glad you got up so early this morning now, aren't you? Huh? Well, here's my confession. I have a confession to make. I've done something that I promised myself I would never, ever do. And not only have I done it once, but I've done it multiple times now. And I feel horrible about it. Do you want to know what I've done? I knew you did. And for those of you who don't want to know why, chances are you're still sleeping. Here's what I've done that I professed I would never, ever do. I've used the self-checkout lane at the grocery store. Now, that's a big deal for me. I don't know about for you. But I promised myself I would never use the self-checkout lane. Why? It's not because I have any strong issues, but I like people. How about you? There's something about going through a line where I can actually engage in a conversation with another person, even if they be a stranger. Why? When I go through the self-checkout lane, I don't get the opportunity to have a conversation like I had a while back, and some of you have heard this story already, so I apologize that you have to hear it again, but it's just a great story. I was in one of our local grocery stores here in town, and I was busy getting my groceries, and I went through an actual checkout lane with another human being on the other side, who got to see all the things that I had purchased, got to see what it is that I like to eat. And the young man did as he was instructed by the manager, no doubt, because as soon as he came to my groceries, he asked me the question, "Father Steve," see, he knew me. It's always nice when people know you, isn't it? So he looked at me and he said, "Father Steve, did you find everything that you are looking for?" To which I smiled at him and I responded, I said, "Yes, I found everything except just one thing. I'm still looking for my mind. I seem to have lost it somewhere here in the grocery store." And the young man looked at me and in an instant he replied to me, "Did you check the frozen food section in aisle 2? Now that's just funny, isn't it? You don't get that, my friends, when you go to the self-checkout line in the grocery store. Have you checked out the frozen food section in aisle 2? And the two of us, it seemed like we laughed forever, even though I'm sure it was only for a few seconds. But it was a moment of sheer joy. So did you find everything you are looking for? It's the question that is asked of you and I on this Easter morning. But we have to answer the question, what are we looking for? Why? You and I are here this morning because we're looking for Easter. That's what we're looking for. It's what Mary of Magdala was looking for. It's the reason why she got up so early while it was still dark to go to the tomb, to go to the cemetery, expecting to see a stone and a dead body. And she saw something more. And so she ran. She went to tell the disciples that Peter and the disciple that Jesus loved, why the two of them cannot believe their ears, so they too are looking for Easter. So they run. And for whatever reason, John wants you and I to know, the gospel writer John, he wants you and I to know that the disciple that Jesus loved could run faster than Peter. He got to the tomb first. Have you ever thought why John needed us to know that? Could it be that love is always going to be faster than guilt? Could that be the truth? Peter filled and weighed down with guilt for having denied his Lord, not once, not twice, but 3 times. That, my friends, will weigh any of us down. So Peter was looking. He was looking for something to relieve the guilt. Even though it slowed him down, nonetheless, he still went. Nonetheless, he was looking for resurrection, his own resurrection, his own ability to be freed again from the bands, the burial bands that wrapped him in the guilt that was his. So Peter was looking for freedom. That's what Easter meant for him. The disciple that Jesus loved was simply looking for love. Looking for love in an empty tomb. So they go. But notice how love always defers to guilt. Love is not pompous, it is not arrogant, it is not selfish. No, love always defers to the other. So love allows guilt to enter the tomb first. And there, Peter sees. But guilt still prohibits him from believing. But then love enters the tomb. And he saw. And he believed. My friends, you and I are always looking for Easter. And I would suggest to you and I today that Easter is our ability to not only look, but to see and to believe in the power of love. Even though love will always defer to guilt and all those other things that so oftentimes can prohibit you and I from not only seeing but truly believing. Why? Love will always win out in the end. It will always provide for you and I hope. It will always afford you and I a message of life, of forgiveness, of a new beginning. So we run with Peter, and we run with the disciple Jesus loved, and we run with Mary of Magdala, and you and I on this Easter morning. Why? We run because we're looking for something. No, better yet, we're looking for someone. And I contend it's always best to find and to look for Easter with the help of somebody else who can help check us out and see, maybe you want to check here in the frozen food section. Maybe you want to check over there in the gift of your family. Maybe you want to look here where forgiveness needs to be granted on your part or on the part of another. And once we go, and once we look, and once we discover, we shall find that everything we were looking for is right there. Love, incarnate, risen among us and within us. And we laugh and we rejoice and we give thanks and we proclaim, Christ is risen. Christ is alive. Hallelujah.